Chicago. Teammates didn't want to play with her. Coaches couldn't corral her. She was out there doing her double-double routine while the Chicago Sky were actually trying to win games or run an offense, and Angel Reese was just out there chasing stats. Steve, I'll start with you.
2 first-round picks. That's what the Atlanta Dream just gave up to acquire Angel Reese from the Chicago Sky. And if you think that sounds like a steal for a 2-time All-Star who's about to be an Olympian, you're not alone. But here's what makes this trade absolutely unprecedented. Angel Reese just became the first player in professional basketball history to make the All-Star team twice, earn an Olympic selection, and then get traded before their 3rd season. That doesn't happen, ever.
You guys tell me a sport. Tell me any sport where a player in their first 2 years in the league made the All-Star team or a Pro Bowl their first 2 years. She's about to be an Olympian, and they get traded before their 3rd season. You can't. That's bad. That's how bad of a locker room cancer she was. That does not happen. In 2 years, you are a 2-time All-Star and you're about to be an Olympian, and they traded you. Scott, they traded her.
Let's break down exactly what Chicago is giving up here. Angel Reese led the entire WNBA in rebounding last season. She's 22 years old with All-Star selections in both of her professional seasons. She's got a massive social media following that drives attention to every game she plays. On paper, this is the kind of player you build around, not trade away for late first-round picks that historically don't even make WNBA rosters. But Chicago couldn't get her out of town fast enough. And when you look at what happened during her 2 years with the Sky, the desperation to move on starts making sense.
Chicago was a complete clown show. We got to be completely honest about what took place, Jason. In year 1, you and Teresa Witherspoon were sabotaging games so that you can go out there and collect double-doubles while you're down 45 points. You're in the game with 20 seconds left, trying to get double-doubles because you're dying to compete with Caitlin Clark. Kennedy Carter didn't like it. She took a fall for it because she got upset with you about it. Marina Mabry demanded out. She didn't want any part of the circus act. Year 2. Oh, and you also quit on the team in year 1. Year 2. It was even more of a circus.
Year 1 was a circus from day 1. Angel Reese and coach Teresa Witherspoon were running their own program within the program. While the Sky were getting blown out by 45 points, Reese was still in the game with 20 seconds left, hunting for her double-double. Kennedy Carter called it out publicly and paid the price for speaking up. Marina Mabry, one of their best players, demanded a trade specifically to get away from the dysfunction. Then came the suspension, conduct detrimental to the team. The Sky suspended Reese for a half, she warmed up, and when it was time to play in the second half, she refused to go in. Then she refused to suit up for the rest of the season, claiming a back injury.
You quit on the team, and the same day as the final game, when your back's apparently hurt, which is why you have been sitting out, you're on a private jet on the way to Vegas twerking and having a ball as if your back never hurt it. You quit on the team. You threw Courtney Vandersloot under the bus, and she had to get on camera and respond to you. You threw Ariel Atkins under the bus. Nobody wanted to deal with you. And you know how bad Steve.
Here's the part that tells you everything about how real that back injury was. The same day as the Sky's final game, while she's supposedly too hurt to play basketball, Angel Reese is on a private jet to Vegas, twerking on social media like nothing ever happened. She quit on her team, and then she threw her teammates under the bus publicly. Courtney Vandersloot had to get on camera to respond to Reese's comments. Ariel Atkins got dragged into it. The locker room was completely fractured.
No, and no. And so I know you're getting me out of the way because I probably watched the least amount of WNBA among this whole 4 panel. But this would be my advice to those young ladies that you mentioned, right, on that new Atlanta team of hers. Get ready to stick your hands out like this and never get the ball. Because she's going to get the rebound, get another rebound, get another rebound, another rebound, and another rebound. And there's going to be, I'm fascinated by this in this sense. And Scap, I'm going to watch some highlight clips of Atlanta starting this season.
Now she's Atlanta's problem. And the Dream are walking into this with their eyes wide open, betting that playing alongside Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray will somehow transform Angel Reese into a team player. They're betting that the opportunity to win a championship before Caitlin Clark will motivate her to sacrifice stats for wins. They're betting that a player who has had locker room issues at Maryland, at LSU, and with the Chicago Sky will suddenly figure it out in Atlanta. That's a lot of betting on someone whose track record suggests the exact opposite.
I'm going to watch the body language of those teammates when that happens. There, that's it. That's my spiel.
Scap, you got a take on this?
Yeah, Jason, I want to know because I, like Steve, have watched at least 8 minutes of highlights of Angel Reese. And I got to be honest with you, I struggle to even use the term highlight. They're more like low lights. She can barely make a layup. And in fact, she doesn't make layups most of the time. How putrid is this product, Jason and Maurice? Because you two obviously watch more than Steve and I.
Let's talk about what Atlanta actually needs from Angel Reese. They won 30 games last season with a 30-14 record. They've got 2 all-star guards who can score 20 points per game. Brittany Griner is at the end of her career, but still brings veteran presence and rim protection. What they needed was a rebounder who plays defense, sets screens, and doesn't need the ball to be effective. What they're getting is someone who spent 2 years in Chicago padding stats while her team lost games. Someone who was running point forward in year 2 because she refused to accept a traditional role. Someone whose entire identity is wrapped up in competing with Caitlin Clark for attention rather than competing for championships.
Because her rebounding is a real thing. And but is just so much of a headache that they just gotta get rid of them. Is there?
I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen this
at this early of a stage of a career. No, I would not think, because if someone is generally that. Look, allegedly this talented, again, I struggle to use the word talented and Angel Reese in the same sentence, but if the rebounds are that good, I guess I should say, if she's that elite, a level of that, generally talent gives you extra opportunities to succeed, right? Like a lot of people get second, third.
The Detroit Pistons faced a similar decision in 1989. Adrian Dantley was an all-star, a proven scorer, but he was a black hole on offense. They traded him for Dennis Rodman because Rodman did all the complementary things that helped the team win. Detroit won back-to-back championships after making that move. The difference? Rodman understood his role and embraced it. He didn't need to score to feel validated. He found value in rebounding, defense, and energy. Can Angel Reese do that? Can she watch Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray run the offense while she sets screens and crashes boards? Can she accept being the 3rd or 4th option on a championship-caliber team?
Because of her competition with Caitlin Clark, she's being offered, I wouldn't call it a layup, but she's being offered a chance to play on a team that's a championship-caliber team. And if she can get a WNBA championship before Caitlin Clark, that's really going to enhance her brand, give her some standing around the league. And I think that opportunity may, for a short term, bring out the best in Angel Reese.
There's a survival instinct argument here that's worth considering. Angel Reese is smart enough to know that if this doesn't work in Atlanta, she's out of second chances. She's already been traded once. If the dreams struggle, if the locker room fractures again, if she's the common denominator in 3 straight team failures, that label becomes permanent. No amount of social media followers or double-doubles will overcome being known as a player who destroys winning cultures. The opportunity is right there in front of her. Play with 2 elite guards who will create easy rebounding opportunities. Accept a role that maximizes her strengths without exposing her weaknesses. Win a championship before Caitlin Clark and cement her legacy as a winner, not just a stat compiler.
Steve, don't lose your thought. Don't lose your thought. But you just referenced Indianapolis to Atlanta in football. Think a little bit harder.
Jeff George? Right, but that wasn't that early, though. I think, wasn't it?
Fourth year.
Fourth or fifth year.
Fourth year.
Right, and he actually had pretty good success with June Jones with that run and shoot.
Yes, he did.
Now in
But
terms
no
of
one
basketball
ever doubted, and I
dynamic-
love Jeff George. And Jeff, if you're watching, I gotta
No,
do
you?
the show. I love Jeff George.
You
but
do.
but
Never knew
no
that.
one ever doubted Jeff's ability as a quarterback.
But here's what makes this situation so fascinating and so dangerous for Atlanta. Those first-round picks they traded away are going to be late first-rounders because Atlanta is talented enough to win 28 to 30 games even if this experiment fails. So Chicago essentially got Angel Reese off their roster for free. They dumped a problem, got 2 assets that won't hurt them if they don't pan out, and moved on with their rebuild. Atlanta, meanwhile, just added a player who has never demonstrated the ability to sacrifice individual production for team success. They're hoping that the talent around her will force her to adapt. They're hoping that the stakes of playing for a championship will motivate different behavior. They're hoping that being back in her home state of Maryland— wait, actually, she's from Baltimore originally, but played at Maryland before LSU— will provide some kind of fresh start mentality. That's a lot of hoping, and not a lot of evidence to support any of it.
He didn't understand with the Lakers he was going to be a role player, and it just did not work on or off the court. So these things are interesting. The issue with Angel Reese, to be dead serious about this, is that does she realize for her game to flourish within that team structure, she has to understand this phrase: less can be more.
I think without question. And I'm telling you that there's a survival instinct in Angel Reese. She's that I think she may surprise people here, Maurice. I really do. I think that this is too grand of an opportunity, because if it doesn't work, she's going to get blasted. They won 30 games last year, 30-14. If they back up from that, adding her with the outside shooting, the guard play she didn't have in Chicago.
Let's talk about what happens if this works, because it's not impossible. If Angel Reese commits to playing within Atlanta's system, if she focuses on offensive rebounding and defense, if she lets Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray be the stars, the Dream could absolutely win a championship. They'd have the guard play, the interior presence with Griner, and the rebounding with Reese. That's a complete team. And if they win a championship, Angel Reese gets to hold that over Caitlin Clark for the rest of her career. She gets to say she won first. She gets to claim that her style of play, her approach, her mentality led to a championship. That's powerful motivation for someone whose entire professional identity seems built around competing with Clark for relevance and legacy. But if it doesn't work, if the same patterns emerge, if teammates start requesting trades or coaches lose control of the locker room, then what? Atlanta gave up assets for a player who tanked her value in 2 years. Chicago looks like geniuses for getting anything in return. And Angel Reese becomes the cautionary tale about talent without the mentality to maximize it. The next 6 months are going to tell us everything we need to know. Watch the body language in Atlanta's first few games. Watch how Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray react when Reese crashes for offensive rebounds while they're trying to run offense. Watch how the coaching staff handles the first time Reese prioritizes her stats over a team win. Because those moments are coming. They always do with players who've shown this pattern repeatedly. Chicago bet that the headache wasn't worth the rebounding. Atlanta bet that the talent is worth the risk. One of them is going to be proven right. And based on everything we've seen from Angel Reese's career so far, I know which way I'd bet. The question is whether you agree. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does Angel Reese win a championship in Atlanta, or does this experiment blow up in the Dream's face? Because there's no middle ground here. This either works spectacularly or fails spectacularly, and we're about to find out which one it is.